did to be different. I did to be different. I did to be different. I did. I did. I did to be different. I did to. I want to welcome you to Dream Chasers Radio with me, your host, Yaya Diamond. What's up, peoples? How you doing? It is a great day, and I'm so very excited to have you here. Thank you so much for joining me. We're having an amazing guest on the show today. It's all about Peter and, well, Pan and Hook, or Chris. Yeah. It's all about Chris Maccool, and we're going to go ahead and talk to him in a second. Don't you go anywhere.
Hello, y'all. This is Louis Gossett Jr. And I'm here with Yaya Diamond. I'm here for the color purple, color brown, the color white, the color green. Let's watch this and support it 100%. It's our turn. Enjoy. God bless.
Welcome back to the show. So today we have author Chris Maccool on the show, and he has a really cool last name. I just had to say that. Maccool. I like that. So thank you so much for being on the show.
Glad to be here. I'm happy to, and it's pretty exciting. I've been doing this for a long time. I was surprised myself when Cliff and Dreams called me asking to make my Peter Pan origin story into a adaptation.
Nice.
Indeed, I knew this would happen, but I thought it would happen until I got most of my other books published.
That is so cool. So let's go back. How did you start writing?
Well, it's all started like when back in 2014. I think what got me inspired to write the book I publish now is that movie that Angelina Jolie was in, where she played Walt Disney's iconic villain Maleficent. You saw that movie?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
And like you, I thought it was amazing. But more importantly, I was more stunned and surprised how it was the same fairy tale, Sleeping Beauty, but it was from the dark fairy's point of view. Like Angelina Jolie said herself, we all know the story of Sleeping Beauty. We know what happened at that christening, but we've never known what happened before that. And I was like, oh my God, she's right. I never thought of it like that. And I look back and notice other characters from fairy tales we all grew up with, both heroes and villains, had mysterious beginnings too, where we don't know how it began with them. So I thought I'd write some origin stories about them, and apparently more stuff keeps spiraling in my head. And what really got my imagination booming was playing these mystery games of Nancy Drew, where you play as an iconic detective from the 60s and on a PC game, and it's a third-person game, where you see the character through their eyes and point of view, but you don't see their face. And you wander around places, talk to people, solve mysteries, puzzles, and eventually catch the culprit. And they were pretty well done, and they just got that, and that movie Angelina Jolie was in just got my imagination awoken.
That is so cool. You just kind of awoken some stuff in me too. That is so cool. So now that you've written this book, tell us all about it. What is the perspective that you're coming from?
Well, it's an origin story about how Peter Pan's story began, and it just came to me after Pan, the movie Pan that Hugh Jackman was in when it came out, and because I was planning to write an origin story about Peter Pan earlier, but it was more of a personal story, kind of like similar to Star Wars and Harry Potter. But this idea came to me out of nowhere, and I thought I'd write this one as a kid's book, or write the other one as an adult book. Anyway, the moral of the story is at the end. I'm not sure if you read it yet, but the moral. I'll just tell you what the moral story is. The moral story is, like, say if you live in a suburban neighborhood, or rural neighborhood, or any kind of peaceful area in town where anyone could live in, and say you have a friend during your childhood, and you and he or she do all sorts of fun stuff together, like anyone does, like jump on the bed, play hide and seek in the house or in the backyard, or explore neighborhood, do anything, all the fun stuff kids do. But say things like expect to change when that friend of yours has to move away because their parents got a job elsewhere, and you have to say goodbye. And I'm sure, as you know from personal experience, it's pretty sad.
Yeah.
And you don't think you'll see them again, but say that you do, like years later in high school or college, and after you catch up for old time's sake, the two of you think you'll think that you all can go back to the way it was. And sometimes that happens. However, sometimes it doesn't. So you discover your friend is not exactly the same person he or she once was. They had different friends, or they're a bit jerks stuck in the mud, or worse, taking drugs. And you wonder what's happened to you. Why have you've changed? And they most likely would say this: that I was just a kid. The person you knew was just a kid at the time. Things change when we grow up, and that's the moral of the story. That how people change when they get older.
You know, you're right. I've had a lot of friends that are different, friends that are passed away, and friends on drugs.
Mhm.
All of that happened. Wow. So yeah, people do change. So tell us about your book. And then are you writing more? I mean, this is kind of cool. I mean, are you coming from the perspective of the villain in this book?
Yeah, yeah, and the hero too. I'm just writing in a shocking way where things may not exactly begin the way you expect. Like take Peter Pan, for example. We all know who he is. He's the boy who can fly that never wants to grow up from a magical world called Neverland, but we've never known how his story began. And yes, they made a few movies and other books already, like Pan with Hugh Jackman, Peter and the Starcatcher. But then this idea came to me, and I just thought I'd write out. No, I just use it to surprise people. And what gave me ideas? Well, the one thing that probably started it is this episode I saw from that TV show called Boy Meets World. Did you ever see that show?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, good show. Well, in one episode I saw, Sean, that Corey's friend, is hiding under his bed, and he says he blew up a mailbox, and he's afraid the police are going to come after him and arrest him. You know, I don't think they would arrest kids for blowing up mailboxes. And anyway, Corey's trying to help Sean. He hides him and tries to figure a way out. First, his dad comes in and actually sits on the bed that Sean's hiding under and tells him that Sean's landlord or guardian, whoever it is watching him, is looking for him. And they already put on Amber Alert. So he says, is Sean in some kind of trouble, Corey? Because if he is, you know, your mom and I are always here to help him as much as we're to help you. Corey just says, of course, Dad, I'll let him know when he shows up. And his dad leaves. And when Sean comes out of the bed with his back all sore, Corey tells Sean that they should probably come clean to his parents and they could help. But Sean doesn't want to hear of it. So he says, I'll figure this out on my own. And he jumps out the window and leaves. Corey tells his parents that Sean came over and what he did, and that he was hiding in the bedroom. The dad just says, he wasn't under the bed when I sat on it, was it? And Corey says, no, he was in the closet. But here's more the idea. When Corey kind of feels bad about Sean, wishes he could help him, his mom cheers him up by saying, you're a good friend, Corey. That's all that matters. But then his dad said this, you know, son, this reminds me when I was your age, when I was a kid. But then Corey erupts his dad, thinking he knows what his dad's about to say, and says, let me guess, Dad, when you were my age, you had a friend just like Sean, didn't you? But then his dad says this, no, son, I was like Sean, but I had a friend that was more like you.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, normally parents do say that they have friends just like the friend you have, but with Corey's dad, it was the other way around. And that's why I surprised people, where it was the other way around. Like, where I thought Peter wasn't always the boy who could fly that never wanted to grow up. Like I thought I write a story where he was more like Wendy at first, and Hook was like the Peter Pan before him, where he was like Peter Pan before he became the pirate that lost his hand to the crocodile with that hook as a hand. And
Yeah.
he's the one who brings Peter to Neverland and is the reason why Peter's story began. I thought I'd begin it. I just thought I got inspired from not just watching movies, but playing games like that. What's that zombie game called? The Last of Us. You know, like where it begins in the middle on a normal day before a storm, where you're just walking around and things are normal, but then out of the blue something happens just like that. And that's where I picture it as Peter. And that's also where I got the inspiration from that Nancy Drew game, where you're seeing it like from Peter's perspective, like from a say third person, as they say in the video game, and then something out of the blue happens and
Yeah.
you don't know what's going on. And I like that. And well, like in the beginning of the story, like where I describe Hook as the mysterious boy in red, Peter sees, and you don't know who it is until he mentions his name, and that's the surprise when you read his name in the book. You're like, oh my god, that's Captain Hook. Like indeed, there's been surprises like that too in movies, like in Star Trek Into the Darkness. You know how when Kirk and Spock are interviewing this terrorist who's blown up, his name was John Harrison, but when Kirk says to him, John Harrison, we looked up John Harrison. He was, before a year ago, he didn't exist. And the man says John Harrison was just a fictional character that covered my true identity. My real name is Khan. And you realize oh my God, that's Khan, their worst enemy from the Wrath of Khan. So it's kind of
Wow.
like,
That is so cool. I mean, you sound so versed in all of your movies, especially the villain and the hero.
hero.
I'm absolutely in love with what you're bringing back, the analogies and all the comparisons and the movies that I love so well. Let me ask you a question. This book here, I know that this is your first one that's actually going to be hitting a screenplay. Am I right?
Yeah, I
So
was told.
that is so cool. So now what's next for you?
You mean like for the story or like after the story?
Yeah, after this book is done and everything is done, are you writing more books?
Oh yeah, because honestly, Peter Pan's not the only iconic character I'm writing. I'm also writing an untold story about Shere Khan from the Jungle Book, revealing why he's such a big mean pussycat. I'm writing an untold story about the Grinch, about how he becomes the Grinch and why he hates Christmas. And I even came up with an idea about Robin Hood, not just his origin story, but mainly how he and his sworn enemy Prince John were childhood friends before they grew up to become sworn enemies, and an idea about Arthur and Merlin, about how Merlin raises Arthur before the boy pulled Excalibur out of the stone. Like,
Oh wow.
I just had so many, because I know so many mysteries between these characters too. Like, take the Grinch, for example. We all know the story about the Grinch, but not that much. The only thing we know about him is he's a monster who lives in the mountains above a village. And when the village celebrates Christmas, it angers him. And he does everything in his power to get rid of it. But obviously, singing to the village at night, by stopping Christmas from coming, by stealing the decorations, the Christmas trees, the stockings, all of it. But as we know, has a change of heart when one of the village girls catches him stealing the
Yeah.
trees. And however, we never knew the creature's reasons. Like what they said, his heart being 2 sizes too small, his head being screwed on too tight. Not sure exactly sound like good reasons there. And another mystery I'm sure you have noticed is, where do you get the dog Max?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I'm going to reveal. I'm going to reveal that too. And one little connection that you probably didn't see coming, but I don't want to spoil it for you.
Um, don't spoil it.
Yeah, true. And then there's also mystery about Robin Hood. Like, the reason I'm writing this about Robin Hood, because we all know the story about Robin Hood, but technically we only know half his story. The half we know is the story as an adult. The half we don't know is the story as a child. So I'm thought I write when he's just a simple peasant boy living either on a farm or in the village with his parents, before he robs the rich to feed the poor, before he forms the band of married men, before he lives out in Sherwood Forest, before the evil sheriff that tried to capture him, before all of it. And as for Arthur and Merlin, all we know is Merlin's a boy who pulls a magical sword out of a stone that makes him king, and Merlin's the wizard who guides him. But I thought there could have been a little more to their story than meets the eye.
Right. Wow. Wow. Well, this is amazing. This is amazing, Chris. Where can people find you? Where can they find your book? I mean, the current book.
Well, Peter Pan story is on Amazon right now, although last I saw it was sold out, because I'm sure many people bought it because they fell in love with the story.
Let me
I
see.
did.
It is unavailable. Oh my gosh, you sold out, Chris. How does that feel?
It feels great. I'm glad people liked it. It feels like I'm doing the right thing, that I'm bringing something special into the world, that I'm on a roll, that I did everything just right, as Goldilocks would say.
That is so cool. That is so cool. Well, we're going to put the link for Amazon in the description box below. And when it comes available, again, you guys better jump on it, because I have a feeling that this is going to go out of stock pretty fast.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I can't wait look, the screenplay, that just means movie. I can't wait for it. I can't wait for it. You're going to have to hurry up. You're going to have to hurry up. Whoever's doing this, hurry up. Chris, thank you so much
I
for
don't know
being on the show.
Yeah, I don't know who's doing it, honestly. I don't know if it's going to be Pixar or DreamWorks or one of those other studios that makes anime movies, like Illumination, who does Despicable Me. They could possibly do it. It could be anyone. I was told that there was a million studios out there that needed something to do, and they thought they could make my book to adaptation, and I thought, why not?
Yeah, why not? So,
Mhm.
Chris Maccool, guys, keep that name on your tongue. I'm telling you, we just might be watching this movie go down pretty soon. I can't wait for it. And hey, guys, don't forget, we got the link in the description box below for Amazon, so that you can go ahead and jump on that book when it comes out, just in case you want it. I mean, the opposite version of all the things that we've known since a kid. Now we get the villain side. I absolutely love it. Chris, thank you so much.
Anytime. Enjoy the
Thank
book.
you guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Don't forget to dare to be different. And until next time, guys, bye. Thank you so much for stopping by. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Hit that notification bell so you'll be notified the next time that I upload. And don't forget to dare to be different. Until next time, guys.
I dare to be different. I dare to be different. I dare to be